Pakistan cricket at its best. 1 minute down, next minute up. These were the words coined by Nasser Hussain, so beautifully describing every Pakistani's emotion at that point. And obviously, I'm in candid conversation with Nas. First of all, thank you very much for joining me. Back after 22 years, first as a player, historic win 2000 series as England captain, back now as a broadcaster. Overall experience, how's the welcome been back home?
It's been brilliant, actually. It's been absolutely amazing. We just went to a couple of areas on the way back from the ground just to stop off and try and play a bit of cricket. And the moment you get out the van, you go like that. I'd say the one thing about television, as opposed to a cricketer, as a cricketer, when I was 22 years ago, if I walked around Karachi or whatever, no one would care. The more you appear on TV, and I didn't bat very well, so I didn't appear on TV that much, but the more you appear on TV, the power of television, you get out of your taxi or our van here now, and the crowds and the selfies in such a nice way, and then you come to the hotel, and so many people have genuinely come up and said, thanks for coming back. And I'm like, it's my job, and I've been desperate to come back, but so many people have been like, thanks for coming back, thanks for supporting Pakistan cricket. I've loved every single minute of it, and more importantly, the cricket has just been fantastic. I know Pakistan fans, the result haven't gone their way, but the cricket's been fantastic.
From those fans of storm buses, I probably would have been one of them had I not been working alongside you on this. Extremely fond of your work, look up to you in terms of how you've broadcasted throughout the world. And we're probably going to have a chat with you around those lines. As a transition from a cricketer into a broadcaster, was it something that you had in mind, or how did it sort of pan out for you?
I was speaking to a gentleman called Barney Francis, who was head of Sky Cricket, and I decided, my last day at Lord's, I only decided the night before I was retiring. I was playing New Zealand, and I luckily got 100, and we won the game. And it was too good an opportunity. I never really thought I was going to retire. I rang Duncan Fletcher, the coach, in his room, and said, Dunk, I think I'm going to retire tomorrow, in the hope that he would say, no, Nas, please stay on longer. And he just went, yeah, that's a really good idea. I think you should retire as well. So I retired, and then that night, the person at Sky rang me, Barney Francis, and said, we would like you to come and work in our commentary team. And I had no idea what I was going to do. The one lucky thing was the two people I was really close with, David Lloyd, our coach, Bumble, he had gone and done it, and he was a brilliant broadcaster. Michael Atherton, who I'd known from England schoolboys under 15, so at that stage for 18 years, since then for like 300 years, he had gone on to work for Channel 4 and was making himself into a brilliant broadcaster. So I really looked up to those two individuals. I spoke to them, and that team, that Sky team, Atherton, Lloyd, Botham, Gower, we worked with David here, Michael Holding, Ian Ward, Shane Warne, people like that. They were it was just like being back in a dressing room. So I really looked forward to it and enjoyed it.
Easier, obviously, when you go back to mates or from playing days or otherwise and go back into the commentary box with them. But as you transition or watch cricket, when you would come back from your playing days, who would you look up to as a broadcaster or would love to listen to?
Good question, really. Obviously, the greats, and a lot of them happen to be in that Channel 9 commentary box. So you're talking Richie Benaud. I remember doing one stint with Richie, and I'd leave my lip mic like this, and Richie dragged me to one side in the Lord's Media Centre, and I won't even try and do a Richie voice, but he said, if I could just give you one bit of advice, put your microphone down when you're not speaking. And that always, if Richie Benaud says that, that works. Bill Lorry, Tony Gregg, Michael Holding, now Ian Bishop, Ian Smith, the famous World Cup called by Ian Smith by the barest of margins. I know England players have come up to me and said how good it was not only winning the World Cup, but having Ian Smith's commentary on that moment. And that's how important commentary is. If you can nail the moment, like Richie Benaud did in the 2005 Ashes at Edgbaston, those lines are remembered forever. So there are some great commentators out there now. Ian Bishop, like I say, Michael Atherton, whatever. There's some fantastic ones out there.
Great calls. You obviously remember listening to those. Obviously, Pakistan has a strong affinity, and some just happens at Pakistan matches you are calling those moments for us. What are your great calls that you think are one of your best with Pakistan cricket and probably other teams as well?
Listen, that's for other people to say. One thing I don't try and do is pre-plan lines or whatever. You just, the ICC are very good at making sure that there's that moment now that will live forever, especially with digital content. If you can nail the moment and that digital content, the Stokes catch at the Oval, you cannot do that, Ben Stokes. I was very lucky in that year. I had the World Cup with Ian Smith. I sat between Ian Smith and Ian Bishop on commentary. That is like a commentary heaven, that is for me. And then the Stokes catch at the start of that World Cup, the Headingley moment, again, Ben Stokes. Everything seemed to be with Ben Stokes around the Headingley innings for me, with Ricky Ponting as the co-commentator. Ricky's a brilliant broadcaster as well. I think those 3 or 4 stand out for me, and the 2 Pakistan, just unlucky or lucky, I happened to be on commentary with the Champions Trophy final when Amir finds the edge, it's dropped, and then the next ball, Sarav said, how important could that be? And I've gone, not that important. And it sort of reflected Pakistan cricket. The fans have been through the ups and downs of great moments. This World Cup that's just happened, they're knocked out. They should be going home, and suddenly they're at the MCG in a final from nowhere. And obviously the India game in Dubai, when Shaheen Shah Afridi bowls those 2 overs up front, and he bowls those deliveries to KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma. Sometimes you're just lucky to be in the commentary box in those moments. So there's some dull moments out there which you have to make sound interesting, and that's where David Lloyd was brilliant, actually. David Lloyd, when things go quiet in a test match and pretty dull, David Lloyd got the fun going with his sense of humour.
Just on that, different formats as players, preparation is different, mindsets are different. I would imagine it would be slightly similar in terms of broadcasting as well when you come out for a T20 game, a one-day game or a 5-day test. How do you prepare for it, and what do you actually want to achieve in terms of engaging the audience when it's probably not going, or it's dull, or it's just not engaging enough as the cricket is?
I think there's a saying, I think Athers uses it a bit, and I think it started from Richie Benaud or someone like that, that by being on commentary, someone is inviting you into their house, into their living room. So how would you behave if you were in their living room or whatever? Now, would you sit there and waffle on and talk all the time like I'm doing now? They'll probably get pretty bored with you, really. So in a test match, I still believe in the sort of Richie Benaud, less is more. Let the action do the talking, let it breathe. People don't want to hear sound and noise all the time. But I'm afraid that changes from culture to culture. If you work in India and you're not speaking, you will quickly have someone in your ear going, we pay you to come. We've paid for your hotel, your flights, and a lot of money. Come over here. Can you please talk? And you're like, okay, I better pick up the mic and talk. And obviously different formats. So T20, it is explosive, it is dynamic. That spell Shaheen bowls the World Cup with Virat playing those 2 shots off Haris Rauf. You have to try and express that moment. And that's where, like Ian Bishop's line of remember the name. Again, Bumble was on lead commentary then. And I was at the back of the box in Kolkata, and Bumble turned to Bish and went, Bish, this is your moment, you call it. And I was at a dinner with Ian Bishop the night before, and he was telling some of the fans, watch out for this lad, Carlos Brathwaite. Someone asked him the question. It was a question and answer session. And someone asked Ian Bishop the question, who should we look out for tomorrow? One of the names we haven't heard of. And he turned and went, just Carlos Brathwaite. He didn't say remember the name, but he went Carlos Brathwaite. And then he picked up the microphone, remember the name, Carlos Brathwaite. And that will stay forever in commentary, sort of nirvana, really. He absolutely nailed the moment. And that's the difference maybe between Test match and T20.
In terms of formats as well, when you're different teams play, especially T20 cricket, talk about, you said dynamic, more engaging, it's quick and it's on point. Does a particular team invite you? Is it more inviting for you to commentate because of the way they play, or is it not?
No, I think you got to try and treat everyone exactly the same. Do your prep, do your research. I notice you do that. Concentrate. Something that Richie Benaud used to say, you sit at the back of the box and you may not work for an hour. You'll be getting yourself a coffee, you'll be doing all these other things. but concentrate and try and think up, you know, if I'm advising any young boy or girl who wants to go into commentary, try and pick up a couple of points that you want to come across in that next half hour. Don't just turn up and pick up your microphone and call the action. Actually think at the back. Be like a cricketer. What would a cricketer do? They prep, they plan, they look at conditions. Just sit at the back of the box. And if you see something, and the people behind the scenes that work hard as well, the people in the trucks, the people who are doing Hawkeye, the people who are doing analysis, that is where Ian Bishop is brilliant. Ian Bishop will go down to the trucks, in his stint that he's not doing, he will go down, he will sit with Hawkeye, he will sit with anyone who's doing the VT, and he'll say, this is what I want for my next stint. Please, can you build it? By the time he does his next stint, do you know what? That moment might have gone and it might not be appropriate, but those guys and girls in the truck will be so thrilled that Ian Bishop has had the time and the effort. And even on Sky, we do the third man analysis, and there'll be people on there that will press the button to you in your ear and go, look, I've seen this. So it's a real team game. It's not just about you. It is using the knowledge of the people around you, especially the way the game's gone. It has really become analysis and stats and driven by those sort of things. Make sure you use all the tools available.
And just on that, you talk about how the viewer at home is, because you're the connect essentially between the action, the viewer wanting to continue to listen to the action. We sometimes overanalyze, get very technical, very strategic, and I've seen this, you do it beautifully, and you go almost like try and explain to that viewer who might not be so well versed in cricket, how important it is to find that balance to keep that audience captivated in the match?
Hugely, because cricket is a complicated game. So you don't want to presume. It's amazing all the things that I say on commentary that I'll come off, and you just think, well, people must have got that. And, you know, even my lad who's played cricket, he's at 19 years old, he will WhatsApp me going, Dad, what did you mean by that? Why is it when, you know, Waqar Younis used to bowl with a lower action, why did that add reverse swing or whatever? And so don't presume the viewer knows everything, but also don't over bombard them with technical stuff. They just want to sit and watch the action. The one difference is in England, and I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but in England, in the breaks, we have time to go down to our analysis. We have another seat, so I would have built something, we can do analysis. We have had Shane Warne, we had some great people who understand the real intricacies of the game. We could do master classes, and that's what I enjoy doing with you before the start of play. There's a sweep master class or a use your feet and all that sort of stuff. The problem in India, Pakistan, you have to throw to a break immediately. So I do think in this part of the world, the viewer wants actually a bit more of the analysis because they're a bit starved of it, because rightly there's a lot of adverts, you have to get some revenue into the game. But I do believe there is room for doing the master classes that you do to try and explain some of the intricacies of the game.
Now, as a cricketer, there's often said that not every great cricketer becomes a great coach. Is it a similar case with broadcasting? Is the learning curve tremendously different?
It's a good question. I really don't know the answer to that. I think it's the similar disciplines. Like I said earlier, don't just presume because you knew how to be a great player, you'll know how to be a great commentator or whatever. Everything in life, some things to some people may come easy, right? I can't name names, but some things may come easy to people. Generally in life, if you work hard at something, you'll become better at it. You know, look at how Ian Bishop commentates, Michael Holding commentates, Michael Atherton, David Lloyd, David Gower. Look at how people work, and there may be things that they do that you can pick up and improve on. I do think there's a balance in a commentary box. I do think you need that star value.
Of course.
You know, we had, God bless his soul, Shane Warne. Just seeing Shane Warne on screen with everything that he did. We did a masterclass with Shane at Durham. It was one of the first masterclasses we did. And Shane turned up. He had done very little preparation. He was a little bit tired, and he bowled a few deliveries, and I can't do this. I'm not sure I can land one. He'd retired. And the moment the camera went on, Shane ran up and went, drifted in, pitched outside leg, and went past my outside edge. And that was Shane Warne. That was the charisma, the aura, on screen Shane Warne. So you need that star value, but you also need, for every star, you need your Ian Bishop to call the moment. You need the fun of a David Lloyd. You need the knowledge of a Michael Atherton. You just need, a Combox is like a team where you need people to bring a variety of skills. And as long as you have one of those skills, you can be a very good host. You know, the host that just stands there and asks the right questions, I think adds value to a team as well.
Being true to yourself. Normally we've seen cricketers also trying to imitate their greats and copy actions and all of that, but how important it is to stay true to yourself so it sort of reflects on screen as who you are? Because sometimes I feel we get caught up in trying to imitate someone down to the T, forgetting who we are as a person. You talk about the great Shane Warne and how his charismatic nature sort of just takes over. You're in awe of him, you want to watch constantly. How important is it to bring yourself out as a broadcaster?
Yeah, absolutely. Another excellent question. Absolutely. You know, people are no fools. They will see if you're trying to play up to an audience. Especially nowadays, it becomes even harder because of social media. So I always find that I've done really well if I come off a commentary stint and both sets of fans are really angry with me. So if I'm doing India, England, I will often come off and see my social media feed and England fans will be saying, "Oh, Nasser, why are you always having to go at England? You played for England, you're captain of England." And I'll see all the opposition fans going, "Oh, Nasser, you're obviously very English biased," or whatever. That shows probably that we're no longer cheerleaders for the team. You're no longer cheerleader for the England cricket team. If you see they're doing something wrong, say that. If you see they're doing something well, say that. But try and be balanced, try and be fair, and try not to play up to the social media following or whatever, because that can quickly get you into big trouble. So I think just call it as you see it, and also understand we'll get things right. Like being a player, you'll get things wrong. You'll get a lot of things wrong, but were you honest and just trying to call it fairly and not be biased? It's not, I don't think bias is the way to go as a commentator. You're not a cheerleader for your team.
Well, one thing's for sure, Pakistan's social media has been sort of blown out of the water. The love for Nasser Hussain, the hashtags used. Do you actually go back and see, or has Pakistan sort of, the fan following in Pakistan that you've got back here, has it been different with other experiences with the fans following you?
It has been, and because I've been lucky, like I say, or unlucky. Because there've been a lot of great moments recently for Pakistan cricket, right? But if you talk about two special moments, it involved around two left-armers in Amir getting Kohli out and Shaheen Shah Afridi bowling those 2 overs in major ICC events. And they were both India, and Pakistan, for obvious reasons, don't play India that much. The global eyes on a Pakistan-India game, and it happened to be in such big games and such big moments. So I have a lot of love for Pakistan cricket. I think it's been a difficult time for Pakistan cricket. They've not played at home. Azhar Ali went till his 75th Test match. He's just retired today, the lad, or he will do at the end of this Test match. I think it was around about his 75th Test match. He had to wait to play a Test match at home, and then he got 100. So, the love, you go and play cricket out there, and the love for cricket in this country is phenomenal. So it has a special place in my heart, but I was just lucky to call those two key moments. I'm sure it will turn pretty soon when England win 3-0 and I'm shouting about England whitewashing Pakistan.
Right. Donning the blazer for your country, captaining the side, it is an unmatched emotion, feeling. Nasser Hussain as the England captain, Nasser Hussain now as a broadcaster. I'm sure it's got glorious memories from both. Where do both of them stand in your life?
For me, I'm afraid England captain. There is nothing better than being the England cricket captain. When I got the phone call and I rang my dad to say, "Dad, they want me to be the England Test match cricket captain," and all the sacrifices that my dad made, leaving India, going to England for his family, for his sons, for his daughter, to end up the England captain, to walk out on a field and the Barmy Army singing Nasser Hussain's Barmy Army, for the bloke on the tannoy saying, you know, now leading out England is Nasser Hussain. I know we didn't win many games, but it was the best feeling in the world being England cricket captain.
It's truly special. What has been special is this evening talking to Nasser Hussain, one of the best in the business. Nas, thank you very much for your time, your insight, your story. It's been always a pleasure listening to you as well. Hope you've enjoyed that as well.